In early September of 1944, during a decisive phase of the Second World War, 9 American airmen were forced to bail out after their aircraft had been shot down during bombing raids over Chichijima, the largest island in the Japanese-held Bonin archipelago. 8 of these airmen were subsequently captured, tortured, and executed, with at least 4 of their bodies later reported to have been cannibalized by Japanese officers, a gruesome and shocking war crime that later became known as the Chichijima incident. Only one of the 9 individuals who had been shot down would manage to evade capture and certain death. His name was George H.W. Bush, a young pilot who would one day become the 41st President of the United States. Bush enlisted in the US Navy on June 12, 1942, on his 18th birthday, after graduating from the prestigious Phillips Academy in Andover, Massachusetts, having been inspired to serve his country following the Japanese attack on Pearl Harbor. After 10 months of rigorous flight training, Bush earned his wings and was commissioned as an ensign in the US Naval Reserve on June 9, 1943, making him one of the youngest naval aviators of the period. He was next assigned to Torpedo Squadron VT-51 as a photographic officer. In the spring of 1944, the squadron was deployed aboard the USS San Jacinto, a recently commissioned light aircraft carrier within Task Force 58 of the Pacific Fleet. Among his crewmates, Bush's lanky and slim build would earn him the nickname Skin. From the deck of the San Jacinto, the squadron took part in numerous combat operations, including air raids over Marcus Island, Wake Island, and the Marianas during June of 1944, as the US advanced steadily across the Pacific. During the Battle of the Philippine Sea, Bush once again took part in a series of carrier-based airstrikes. On one of these missions, his aircraft ran out of fuel, forcing the crew to ditch into the open sea. They were soon rescued by the destroyer USS Clarence K. Bronson, which returned them safely to their ship. On August 1st, 1944, Bush was promoted to lieutenant junior grade, and 1 month later took part in strikes against Japanese positions in the Bonin Islands, located roughly 600 miles south of Japan. On September 2nd, 1944, Bush would fly one of 4 TBM Avenger torpedo bombers, tasked with striking a Japanese radio installation on Chichijima. As the formation approached the island, they were met with heavy anti-aircraft fire, and during his attack run, Bush's aircraft was struck and engulfed in flames. Though despite the initial damage, he was able to stay on course long enough to hit his intended target. He then flew several miles out to sea, in an attempt to gain distance from the island before abandoning the burning aircraft. He would exit alongside radioman second class John L. Delaney, though only Bush would survive when the other man's parachute failed to open. The third crew member, Lieutenant William G. White, would also perish after failing to exit the cockpit. After floating in the ocean for nearly 4 hours on a life raft, Bush was eventually spotted and rescued by the submarine USS Finback. The footage of the rescue, which had been filmed by its crew members, would later be used in a number of Bush's political campaigns. Bush returned to the San Jacinto in November of 1944 and flew further combat missions over the Philippines. When the carrier later withdrew to Guam, VT-51 had suffered nearly 50% casualties among its pilots, and the squadron was subsequently relieved and sent back to the United States. By the time he was honorably discharged from active duty in September of 1945, Bush had flown 58 combat missions and logged over 1,200 hours of flight time, for which he received the Distinguished Flying Cross and 3 Air Medals. He remained in the Naval Reserve until October of 1955, when he formally resigned his commission. Prior to his resignation from the Navy, Bush had graduated from Yale University in 1948 and established himself as a successful Texas oilman, setting the stage for a future that would see him ascend to the nation's highest position of leadership.